Welcome back to another episode of our Supercar Killer M3 rebuild presented by Turn 14 Distribution. Today is a turbo kind of day. Welcome back. It's an exciting day today where we are going to mount up our Garrett 3584 RS Turbo and work on the hot side. Well, actually that's an NV job, but as you will notice here, we've removed our engine one last time from the chassis, and that's because we have a huge clearance issue with our brake booster. So let's get into that first. I think that time lapse shows how time consuming and difficult it is to remove this brake booster. Wow, not a simple job. And the reason why we're removing it is we have a quite serious clearance issue with our brake booster right here against the 2J manifold. And we reached out to a lot of you guys out on social media, and there was a ton of suggestions going to like an E36 booster, an E46 early first gen booster, brake booster delete, which is something we don't want to do. It would fix this problem very quickly, but we want to have this remain a street car, and that means having a booster. Boosted brakes to me are kind of essential for a street car. So here is what the first generation, so I think this is like 2000 to 2002 E46 M3s have this brake booster, and as you can see, it is significantly larger than the later model one. However, we thought it was going to sit in deeper, so it would recess it, and then that way we would have this area here, which would clearance the the intake manifold, and unfortunately it doesn't. And what makes matters worse is I can't even install this thing because the bolt pattern on here, like the spacing between these two studs, is different on the chassis than the late model one. Like as you can see, this is the early gen brake booster. It doesn't even fit in here, it doesn't even line up. So two completely different systems. For those of you out there, that is not an option. Ultimately, what we've decided to do is retain this booster and modify it because we get to keep the ABS system, and it's really the best thing to do in this case. So what we're gonna do is open this up, and that's gonna require just removing or bending these tabs back, and then we're gonna section this out and clearance it. So follow along, this is gonna get good. Looks like this isn't too difficult of a job. You just gotta take these tabs and slowly bend them back, just like that.
Ooh, that sounded good.
It's making a noise.
Yeah.
That's that rubber seal. Yeah, it's coming.
Woo!
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. It's okay. It's all right. Don't panic. We got to make sure we can put this back together. So I see that this goes in the middle here. If you've ever wondered what a booster looks like, it's not that complex of a system here. And there you have it. We've got ourselves a welded up booster. The piece of metal that I found, I actually lucked out because as you can see, it's got a slight bow in it. I ended up welding it up on one side. I tried to do both, but I don't think that's a good idea. It started getting a little mucky in this area here. We're gonna go put this back together now and take it over to John Stewart Power Brake. They're just a rebuilder of these types of boosters down the street. And they're gonna test it for us to make sure that it doesn't leak. So therefore, we'll know that this is 100% functional, and then we can get everything back in. And the moment of truth we've all been waiting for. Does it fit? Does it clear? Oh yes, with probably half an inch to spare.
Oh yeah.
So right on. Well, there you go. If you now know if you're doing the swap and you've got the same booster as us, then just cut it, weld it, and everything's good. I've bolted up our intake manifold, and I have removed what is an archaic throttle body. This is the one that comes with the Aristo, and it is a combination of drive-by-wire and throttle cable. As you can see, this doesn't do much, and a lot of people will delete this whole setup here. You can lock it out so the electronic part doesn't work, and then you can just go to a standard throttle cable. We won't be doing that. We want to stick with drive-by-wire, so we are actually going to an FA20 Subaru throttle body. Through the help of Excessive Manufacturing, they actually make this weld-on throttle plate adapter. So this is going to go right here, and we're going to be able to mount up our throttle body just like that. So it's going to make things much easier. However, I will not be welding this on here. I'm a little worried with the aluminum that I'll deform this too quickly. We're going to leave this to VIN, which is where we are headed next with the car. So NV Auto is going to take care of the hot side. I'm super excited to see what they come up with for that, because they've done this kind of manifold and that turbo on a 2J before, so they've got things figured out. So I think we are going to need to put everything back on here as much as we can to get this car roller ready.
And just like that, we are here at NV Auto. If you guys are regulars on our channel, you know we come here when the fabrication gets hot and heavy. There's a lot of work to be done here on the hot side, and it's getting into territory where I don't think Pete's that comfortable. He's turned into a very good welder, but there's gonna be some titanium stuff going on here and some serious troubleshooting to sort of...
Over my pay grade,
Yeah, I would say it's above your pay grade. That's fair to say. So we are here for Master Vin to bail us out and make this stuff happen while we go and work on other things. So I think maybe it's time we jump over here and show you the hoard of parts that we've got from Vibrant Performance, because they supplied everything we need to make all this magic happen. Welcome to our Vibrant Performance showroom, everybody. Look at all this stuff. This is very exciting. And I think what I'm most excited about is all this titanium goodness, because, well, it kind of blows my mind how lightweight it is and how beautiful it is. Like, just look at this resonator. It is a work of art, and it weighs, I don't know the exact weight of it, but it's like, when you pick it up, you kind of like go too high with it because you think it's going to be heavier than it really is. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, that you can use these resonators as a muffler if you're looking for like a compact muffler solution. So they call them resonators, but really a muffler and a resonator do the same thing. These are just a little more compact to fit underneath the car. So that's where this is going to go, if Vin can fit it in there. And we also have their pie cuts, which you will recall if you watched our K-Swap 240 that we made our intake out of some of these pie cuts. And they kind of go together like this and allow you to make the tightest radius bends in the industry for pie cuts. So Vibrant's got the good stuff there. I'm sure Vin will have some fun welding all of that up. They also, of course, have titanium V-bends so that you can join everything together easily. They've got straight titanium tubing and bends like this in a variety of diameters. They even have hangers in titanium. And if you're going to build your exhaust system, it's got to all be made of the lightweight stuff. And they are adding even more to their titanium lineup. So they're going to be adding ferrules for their HD clamps, which will make it that much more easy to build systems out. And of course, for us, we've gone with this bad boy as our muffler with the pre-colored tip on there. We don't even have to try to color it ourselves. And having mocked it up in the rear end, it's going to look really nice. So Vin's got a lot of work to do here, and it's all going to start, I think, by putting the turbo in position. And to do that, we're going to have to use a clamp. But before we get to that though, I should mention all this aluminum stuff over here. You're going to see in a future episode where Vin will help us build out the charge pipe system, basically the intercooler system. That's all going to be used for that. And we've got some other stuff here, like these big boys are stainless, which we're going to use to make the downpipe. So there is a lot of fabrication that's going to be happening here. We're pretty much going to be ruining Vin's life for the next few weeks. We apologize in advance for that. And speaking of ruining his life, why don't we move on to showing you the challenge we have with adapting our V-band turbo to that manifold. All right, everyone, this is Vin. You may recognize him from such movies as Vin K-swaps our 240SX for us.
Is that a video?
It was a series of videos.
I guess so, sure.
You put a lot of time into that swap and a lot of brain power into it, and this isn't quite as involved maybe because we have mounted the motor for you. So we've kind of cheated this process for you a little bit, but we've also introduced an interesting curveball that you've not really encountered before, at least in this exact configuration.
Not in this exact.
And that is how to fit this V-band turbo onto this T4 manifold.
Right. So typically, usually I guess with when people buy this manifold, they'll have a big, really big turbo, and it would come with a T4 flange. But with this turbo, this is a 35, right?
Yeah, GT35 84 RS. Yeah.
As you can see here, usually what you wouldn't want it to do, because this is what bolts on here. It's a nice little V-band here, and then whatever you would have here. But this is the problem we're having in here. You can kind of see how big of a gap there is everywhere. There's a couple things you could do. You could weld a piece of flat here and then drill a hole. You just weld it on, but
Boom,
you're gonna impede a lot of flow.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think the solution here is you're gonna have to essentially fill port to match it to get to here, and then hopefully we'll weld this on and hopefully it works out fine.
Sadly, we're not going to be able to stick around here and watch Vin work his magic. We've got to go to the SEMA show, which Vin thinks means we're going to go and have fun, but it's all business for us down there in Vegas. So the other thing is we're not here to micromanage you. So you got total freedom, buddy. So have at it. I'm sure Pete will harass you on his cell phone occasionally, but
Phone will be buzzing.
we're looking forward to getting back and seeing you complete this hot side. You got 1 week. We'll be back. Yeah, pretty much a week today. We'll be back. So
Starting now.
make
Got
this
it.
hot side work.
As with all welding, you're gonna want to make sure it's clean. So now with the manifold cleaned and prepped for welding, I could start welding now, but as most things I like to do with manifolds and try to not let them warp under heat, I'm gonna find a head. You could either do this on the block, on the car, or if you have any spare heads kicking around. Even though this is really thick in the log style, there's not a big chance for it to warp, but I'd rather not take that chance. So we're gonna put a lot of heat into it. So let's go see if we have any 2J blocks or heads. This one here, this one here. Cool. So now we have our manifold bolted onto our giant aluminum heatsink. So basically, the strategy here will be to essentially build a lip, a tapered lip from, you can see that, but from here out to here. So basically, after a lot of welding and a lot of grinding, we have somewhat of a circle. So basically from here, it's just gonna be marker and match that port, and then you weld it. So after welding and grinding, welding and grinding, welding and grinding, and finally welding, this thing is finally done, ready to put back on the engine, and then get the turbo fitted and make sure the turbo sits in a good spot, and then we can finally make our downpipe. If I learned one thing from this whole ordeal is I never want to do it ever again. Stainless downpipe is finished. Next up, the titanium exhaust. We'll do something like a 45 here, maybe a resonator here, 90 degree 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 here, 90-degree here, then the muffler, something like that. All right, so welding titanium. It's not that hard. It's kind of finicky. Kind of like stainless, kind of like aluminum, but very sticky. So you just gotta be careful with your puddle and your accuracy when you're dipping your tungsten. And make sure you purge it. Make sure everything is super clean, because again, it's very finicky. Once there's some contamination, all hell breaks loose. You're also gonna want a really big cup and lots of gas to cover the weld spots, because it does oxidize pretty quickly if you don't have enough gas on it. But titanium looks nice and it's real cool, so let's get that started. As you can see, we got some of the exhaust routed. The next step will be to weld the resonator in. You're gonna wanna make sure you have in a spot that it fits. There's clearance all around, and it's nice and tucked up for best ground clearance. We're gonna wanna weld this on the car and not just make a mark and take it off, because it will not be in the exact spot where you want it. Luckily with these resonators, they are a little bit oversized, so you're gonna be able to get like half a degree of an off angle, and you can be able to position it however you want. And once we get that on, gonna make our first hanger in the front here, and then onto the back. All right, so now most of the mid pipe is done. The next thing we want to do is get the muffler mounted so it's in the right position when we connect the two sides. What I have here is, again, on these stands here in position, kind of hopefully where I want it to sit. And ideally at the end of the day, this is the most important positioning, where you can get a place that looks good in the center and uniformed. The next trickiest part is trying to figure out a way to hang it. Got this piece already grinded off, probably gonna make a hanger on this side, and then a hanger over here, making a bracket to the old factory hangers. You'd always want to make your hangers on opposite ends, one on this side, one on this side, just so that when the muffler sits, it doesn't sit crooked one way or sit crooked the other way. You're always going to want to make sure it stays level and strong.
Well, we're back from SEMA, and Vin has been very productive. We were productive too, though, weren't we, Pete? At least you were. You cranked out 3 awesome videos that are getting a ton of views, so go check those out. But now it's time to check out what Vin has been up to, and I've gotta say, this whole meeting the turbo to the manifold thing looks amazing, but you were saying it was a pretty big job.
It's quite a challenge with filling the material to get our flange. Takes a lot of heat, especially with how thick and how much material there is on the manifold. So just full cranking the welder to max and just welding and grinding and welding and grinding. There's just lots of welding and grinding.
So if you were to do it again, what would be your option? What would be your preferred direction with this?
Get the proper turbo exhaust housing.
Right.
Would be the ideal, but you know, we're given the hands that we're given, so.
And I guess if you had a 300 amp welder, it would have made the job a little easier.
Probably, but
It was still a ton of work.
it's a lot of work because it's just, again, it's the grinding and lots of porting and welding and porting. and
Well,
welding, so.
I'm looking forward to seeing that myself. And I mean, it looks amazing, and it fits. The turbo fits in there beautifully. You've got great clearance of the downpipe down to the exhaust system. So maybe it's time to jump around back and show everyone that gorgeous titanium exhaust system. Woo! Well, Vin, I think you killed it. In fact, I shouldn't have worn sweatpants today because I'm feeling things happening there. And what a work of art this is. You fit it up really tight to the chassis, and this resonator is quite big. And I'm guessing that was a bit of a challenge to get it in the right spot and get it as tight as you could for ground clearance.
Yeah, so anytime building an exhaust, I want to make sure that the exhaust is as close to the body as possible, just because you don't really want to have any ground clearance issues. Especially with this heat shield here, how to position the resonator. There's like a little cutout here that just fits exactly, and then we have like the width of the bends, and they could only go an exact certain length. And then to clear everything is just, it's a lot, but
It's a bit of a puzzle, isn't it? I don't
Yeah.
think people really appreciate how much thinking has to go into
Right.
routing an exhaust system properly. And working with the pie cuts, obviously, that would have introduced another challenge too, because you have to fit them up so precisely.
yeah, I mean, they're also a really good thing to have as pie cuts, because then you're taking away a lot of the guesswork. Because you could just weld on or tack on a pie cut and then just kind of see where the rest of it goes. And then if you have too much angle or not enough angle, and then you just keep adding
Sand it down a bit.
and
or-
like turning into where they need to go. So it's actually having pie cuts ready to go is really nice.
Okay.
So you don't have to make your own pie cuts, because
Yeah.
that takes forever.
Yeah, I bet it would. And wow, I mean, the welding, you haven't done a lot of titanium welding before, have you?
This is actually my first full titanium exhaust. I've fixed a ton, but to build an exhaust from here to there, it's the full first one, and it was a lot of fun.
My God, it turned out amazing. I mean, your welds are absolutely beautiful. Back to the noisy end of the system here, and as you can see, the muffler fits in there beautifully with the tip, purple tip just poking out of our nice carbon diffuser there. I think it looks beautiful. And I guess the big advantage with all this titanium stuff is weight savings, isn't it? This is going to save a lot of weight.
Light. It is awesome.
I don't know if we have a weight for the stock system. We can probably look it up online, as a matter of fact. So why don't we drop this, since it's all V-banded and should come off really quickly, and we'll actually see how much it weighs. Well, through the magic of digital scales, normally used to quarter balance a car, we know that this exhaust system weighs 18 pounds. And for reference, the stock system weighs 89 pounds.
Very heavy.
The muffler alone apparently is 54 pounds. So we have shaved, God, let's call it 71 pounds. That is a huge amount of weight savings. And in fact, just picking it up, it kind of blows my mind, because normally when you pick up an exhaust system, you expect it to be really heavy on one end and awkward, and you could two-finger lift this thing. And Vin is an actual proper, competitive weightlifter.
There it is.
Not a power lifter. Don't call him a power lifter. Just call him a weightlifter. But yeah, this is if I can find the balance point, this is a two-finger exhaust system.
Wow, that.
If I had stronger fingers, I'd call it a one-finger exhaust system. But that's incredible. Am I doing this right, Vin?
I don't know what
good form?
exercise this is.
Is this a proper? I know you do like cleans and jerks and
Yeah.
all those fancy ones. So I think that's a wrap, everybody. This is an incredible start to the complete turbo setup. The hot side is done, basically.
Pretty much.
Just maybe a little weight gain action, which we'll show you in the next episode. And I should mention that you can get all your Vibrant Performance parts at Turn 14. And of course, if you need it professionally welded up, then who better to use than MV Auto? Because man, look at these welds, everybody. This is a work of art. When I hang this thing on my wall, and being only 19 pounds, I could just use one of those like stick-on hangers too. So get yourself some Vibrant Performance titanium stuff. It's the good stuff.